Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The top stories that we're tracking for you this evening on CNBC-TV18. The Sensex and the Nifty declined nearly 1% this week. Broader markets fare worse, with the mid-cap index losing nearly 3%. IT stocks declined for the fifth session. Former RBI Governor Subbarao says the best-case scenario for India would be a free trade deal with America, followed by the Trump administration imposing tariffs on China, but also admits a trade deal with the US won't be easy, given millions in India depend on agriculture. That's an exclusive. Shares of IndusInd Bank down 30% this week after disclosing a 2,000 crore rupee accounting lapse. RBI has reached out to other banks to assess their forex hedging positions. That's as per a money control report. A CNBC-TV18 news break is confirmed. BlackStone makes its first bet on residential real estate in India with an outlay of 1,800 crore rupees, signs a deal with Pune-based Kolte Patil to acquire over 14% stake, announces an open offer for 26%. Ather Energy set to downsize its proposed IPO by 29%. Sources say the company will file an updated paper with SEBI at a valuation of 11,000 crore rupees compared to its earlier valuation of 17,000 crore rupees. Russian President Putin visits the Kursk region where Ukrainian forces have seized some territory. The Kremlin claims it is in the final stages of ejecting Ukrainian forces from the region. US President warns that he could target Russia financially if they reject Ukraine's 30-day ceasefire plan. Pakistan security forces rescue nearly 350 hostages from Baluchistan Liberation Army militants who had hijacked a train. 21 hostages and 4 soldiers are killed, along with 30 militants, in an operation that lasted over 2 days. The DMK government replaces the official rupee symbol with the Tamil letter for Ru in the state's budget logo, stares at a fresh escalation with the centre amidst a tussle over the three-language formula. The state government will present its budget tomorrow. NASA and SpaceX delay the mission to rescue astronauts Sunita and Butch Wilmore, who've been stranded in international space for 9 months. The mission was cancelled just an hour before liftoff due to a hydraulic system issue. Well, let's start with the market action of the day. The Sensex and the Nifty declining in the last hour of trade, ending in the red. The Sensex down 200 points, Nifty dropped below 22,400. That's the story as far as the day is concerned. And that's the picture, 200 points low on the Sensex, the Nifty down 70 points, 361 gone on the mid-cap, and the Nifty IT index losing about 0.5%. But for the week, the Nifty has lost nearly 1%. Mid-caps have seen sharper cuts for the day and IT and the week as well. And IT stocks continue to remain under pressure, dropping for the fifth straight session. Surabhi standing by with the week's market action. Surabhi, week done. Of course, it is a truncated week on account of Holi, but given all the cues, domestic as well as global, what can we expect from here on?
Well, Shireen, absolutely a shorter week and one that is not that bad. Yes, if you look at the tally on Thursday or for the week as a whole, it is negative. I completely concede that. But given the face of the global volatility, the kind of headlines that were thrown at the market, it's probably not too bad because we've spent the better part of the week consolidating. Like you mentioned, about 1%, less than 1% lower on the Nifty, while the mid-cap and the small-cap indices, they do have some pain, no denying that. The small-cap index, in fact, is down almost 4% for the week. Then why am I saying that there's still a little silver lining to all this? The consolidation has been in just a 300 to 350 point band on the headline index, that is the Nifty. And during the week, we never breached the 22,300 zone, which is the lower part of this band. So that's the first positive cue. The second is that, against all the volatility and the negative headlines coming in from the US, the Indian market held its ground. When the NASDAQ, for instance, one of the days was down 4%, our market was flat, which is not too bad. You can argue maybe that we've preempted the fall. The Indian market's already seen a lot of selling. But the other good aspect is that data here has started getting better. When in the US, there are big concerns around a potential recession or maybe stagflation. In fact, the end of the week did see that double bonanza, both lower CPI inflation and higher industrial output data. That didn't cheer bulls too much, I must say, because the Thursday tally was negative. The other positive aspect of this week has been the reduction in FPI selling. Almost every single day, barring the day that we had the IndusInd Bank episode, the FPI sell number was lower than the previous session. So that's another good news. Coming to the IndusInd Bank saga itself, that also hasn't, led to a dent in the sentiment overall in the banking and financial space. It has remained a single stock issue so far. The stock, of course, is down about 28% for the week. That's IndusInd Bank. One concern that has emerged, however, is in the IT part of the market. IT stocks have taken quite a drubbing. At the headline index level, the Nifty IT is down 4.5%. Individual large cap names down a lot more. And why is that? Because of this whole US economic growth issue. A lot of the large cap IT players like Infosys are very heavily exposed to the US. And now there are cutbacks on the expectations of the earnings recovery. There's a question mark on whether discretionary spends will recover as much as the market had earlier thought. We're still in a very tricky patch with respect to tariffs. There's no taking away from that, so we have to watch for those headlines. The consumer inflation numbers in the US have looked good this week. The producer inflation numbers and the consumer sentiment data will complete the picture when we come back to trade on Monday. So quickly, just rounding up the tally for the week, like I said, IT has been the worst hit, down 4.5%. The PSU banking index, the auto and the real estate index down about 2%. Metal slightly wobbly because of the global tariff issues, down 1.5%. The bank Nifty, I'll still call it a little resilient because despite a lot of the other uncertainties, the IndusInd Bank issue, it's down less than 1%. So all put together, maybe not that bad.
All right, so Rupee, many thanks for joining us. Not too bad of a close there as far as our market is concerned. But in the currency market, the rupee continued to appreciate against the dollar. This is the dollar weakened in tandem with crude prices owing to concerns about the escalating tariff war. Inflation falling to a 7-month low also strengthened the currency today. So that's the picture as far as the dollar rupee is concerned. But in the energy market, where oil prices eased after surging yesterday, this is worries about the impact of intensifying tariff wars outweighed the positive sentiment from a larger than expected draw in US gasoline stocks. Meanwhile, gold prices edging higher as uncertainty over tariffs persisted, and that drove safe haven demand. Bullion was also supported by a cooler than expected US inflation print, with strengthened expectations of the rate cuts continuing. Well, speaking of rate cuts, here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Former Reserve Bank Governor Subbarao says the best case scenario for India will be an FTA with the US and the Trump administration on imposing tariffs on China. Speaking with Lata, Subbarao admitted that agreeing on an FTA won't be easy since millions of Indians depend on agriculture. Remember, CNBC-TV18 reported that the US is keen on a grand deal with India and no sector is off the table. Take a look.
We made a lot of concessions over the last few months during the budget, before the PM's visit to Washington, during his meeting with President Trump. Even after he came back, we agreed to import more defense. An FTA is not going to be all that easy. There is the very critical issue of agriculture affecting millions of livelihoods. The best scenario for India would be that we have an FTA with America, and he slaps tariffs on China and other countries. I don't blame them in that sense, because I believe the Reserve Bank was enjoined to maintain a tight policy. After all, inflation was above the target for a considerable period of time. So they had to keep interest rate high, as also run a tight liquidity regime. There is some sacrifice of growth, because after all, the objective of tightening is to choke demand. And when demand is choked, there is some constraint on growth. In the medium to long term, I believe low and steady inflation is a necessary condition for growth.
And you can catch that conversation with the former RBI Governor Subbarao on Indianomics at 4:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. A tough week for IndusInd Bank after it disclosed a 2,000 crore rupee pre-tax hit due to incorrect derivative accounting. This, of course, happened on Monday evening. The stock fell 28% this week, wiping out over 20,600 crore rupees of investor wealth. Sumant Katpalia, the CEO of IndusInd Bank, in an exclusive interview with CNBC-TV18 on Tuesday, had termed the accounting lapse a one-off. Now, he pledged to turn in a profit in Q4 after absorbing what he claimed was an estimated hit of 1,500 crore rupees. Meanwhile, Money Control reports that the Reserve Bank of India is reviewing derivative books of private and state-owned banks after the IndusInd Bank issue came to light. The RBI has reportedly reached out to banks to assess their forex hedging positions. Abhijit Divanji of Neostrat Advisors says that other banks may also report gaps in their derivative accounting, but this is his view. Take a look.
The RBI came out in the 2024 circular precisely because of the gap that they identified. And they said that, listen, this is not working because the internal transfer pricing is not matching with the external hedge. And hence they said that you cannot have any open positions at all and you need to hedge everything in the market. When the circular came out, even IndusInd started investigating their books. So ideally, when every bank will start investigating their books, they may find these gaps. How large those gaps are will clearly depend on positions taken by the respective banks. But I think now there is going to be a lot more awareness of how treasuries function.
Well, we told you first, and it is now official. BlackStone has made its first bet on residential real estate in India with an outlay of 1,800 crore rupees. The group has signed a deal with Pune-based Kolte Patil to acquire over a 14% stake. It's also announced an open offer for a 26% stake. Nimesh is here with more. Nimesh, you told us first, it is now official. Take us to the contours of the BlackStone Kolte Patil deal.
Well, in a big corporate development, large private equity firm, BlackStone has decided to buy a majority stake in a listed residential company called Kolte Patil. They're going to invest via preferential issue close to 14.3% stake, by which they are going to invest close to 400 crores. They're also going to buy 25% stake from the promoters at a price of 329 rupees per share. So that works out to close to 750 rupees per share. So put together via preferential issue and buying from the promoters, BlackStone is going to invest close to 1,100 crores. Additionally, they've also announced an open offer for 26% at a price of 329 rupees per share. So that put together, BlackStone is looking to invest close to 16 to 1,800 crores in Kolte Patil via this deal announcement. Remember, this is the first deal from BlackStone to foray into India's residential real estate businesses. Till now, BlackStone's large focus was in the commercial real estate in India. Now, for the first time, they've got into the residential real estate as well by buying a majority stake in a listed company called Kolte Patil. So they're putting in via pref issue, they're buying from the promoters and making an open offer as well.
Nimesh, many thanks for joining us. Shares of Coromandel International gained in early trade this half. The company signed definitive agreements to buy 53% stake in NACL for 820 crore rupees. Coromandel will acquire shares from the NACL current promoter, KLR Products Limited. Shares of Gensol Engineering locked in the lower circuit for the fourth straight day, even as its board approved a 600 crore rupee fundraise to boost its balance sheet. The stock ended the week 23% lower. The board has also approved splitting one share of 10 rupees each into 10 shares with a face value of 1 rupee each. The stock has been in a free fall amidst allegations of alleged falsification of loan repayment documents. Shares of Bharat Electronics surging in today's trade after it bagged a contract worth nearly 2,500 crore rupees from the Defence Ministry. As a part of the deal, BEL will supply Ashwini radars to the Indian Air Force. With this, the state-run defence manufacturer has now accumulated orders totaling 17,000 crore rupees in the current financial year. Electric two-wheeler maker Ather Energy is downsizing its proposed IPO by offering nearly 30%. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 the company has filed an updated draft red herring prospectus. Rachna joins us now with more. Rachna, Ather downsizing its IPO. When can we expect it now to go public?
Well, the updated DRHP has been filed already. Ather Energy is aiming to raise about 3,700 to 4,000 crore rupees at a pre-money valuation of around 11,000 crore rupees, down from its earlier aim of about pre-money 17,000 crore rupees. But the post-money valuation, from what we've heard from our sources, is around 14,100 crore rupees now. Sources have also told us that since the UDRHP has already been filed, but the IPO has already been delayed by a few months due to market volatility. So now Ather is targeting a listing by the end of this month or early April, as it expects market conditions to improve from here on. The last IPO on Dalal Street that we saw was nearly a month ago, and many have been wary given the market conditions. Ather Energy's offering will comprise both primary and secondary shares, with founders Tarun Mehta and Swapnil Jain, along with existing investors like National Investment and Infrastructure Fund Limited and Tiger Global Management's Internet Fund 3 offloading a part of their stakes. However, Hero MotoCorp, which holds a little over 37% in Ather, will not be participating in the share sale. This IPO comes at a time when demand for electric scooters in India is showing signs of cooling. FADA data has showed that two-wheeler EV sales in February declined 8% year-on-year to 76,086 units. Despite this, Ather managed to grow its sales by 20%. Last year, though rival Ola Electric saw a steeper rise of 52% in comparison. Ather's public issue will only be the second IPO by an Indian pure-play EV manufacturer following Ola Electric's listing last year. However, Ola's stock performance, if we look at, has been under pressure, with shares tumbling as much as 65% from their peak in August, when the company's market value had touched about $7.7 billion. With Ather now stepping into the public markets at a crucial time for the EV sector as well as the markets, all eyes will be on investor response. Will it ride the momentum or face the same challenges as Ola? We'll be tracking this closely.
All right, Rashna, many thanks for joining us. A quick update on the U.S. indictment of Gautam Adani. The Indian government has asked a sessions court in Ahmedabad to serve summons to Gautam Adani and others over allegations of bribery and concealing information from American investors. India and the U.S. are signatories to the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention allows signatory nation countries to directly request an agency in each other's countries for assistance in serving legal papers. The Union Law Ministry wrote to the Ahmedabad court asking it to serve the U.S. summons on Gautam Adani and others. The letter is dated the 25th of February. This was first reported by The Hindu and later confirmed by CNBC-TV18. The CBI has arrested crypto exchange administrator wanted by the US for allegedly helping cyber criminals launder money. The Lithuanian citizen and Russian resident was arrested in Kerala at the behest of the US administration. According to the US Justice Department, the individual was responsible for reviewing transactions on Russian crypto exchange Garantex. The exchange allegedly processed nearly $100 billion to facilitate crimes in the US. This individual will now be produced in a court in Delhi. It's not clear when he will be extradited to the US. We will head into a short break, but coming up next, the DMK government replaces the official rupee symbol with the Tamil letter for Ru in the state's budget logo. More on that when we return. The DMK government has replaced the rupee symbol with the Tamil letter for Ru in the state's budget logo. The state government will stare at a fresh escalation with the centre over the three-language formula. Jude joins us now with the details. Jude, tensions escalating.
Well, yes, especially with just a day to go for the state budget here in Tamil Nadu. It's the Ru letter of the Tamil alphabet that's now taken pride of place in all state documentation pertaining to publicity materials surrounding the upcoming state budget. Remember, Ru stands for Rubai, which is the Tamil word for rupee. It essentially replaces the symbol in the state, at least, that we've all been using, which is the rupee symbol, a combination of both the English and Devanagari scripts to put forth the symbol that's presently in use today widely across India. Now, what's important to note, Shireen, is that while there is no formal government notification that has been released with regard to a change in the symbol, the fact is it's already made its presence felt in all documentation, like I mentioned, with regard to the upcoming budget, especially in publicity material. Like you also mentioned, the move comes even as there's been a center-state tussle over a couple of issues, but most notably with regard to the three-language formula pertaining to the centre's proposed national education policy and also delimitation, which, remember, Tamil Nadu has said unanimously, all political parties have agreed that it could lead to lesser representation for the state as far as parliament is concerned. So while it might not be official yet, the new symbol, or the Tamil symbol rather, with regard to the rupee, the fact is that the DMK government is rather clear that should any reference be made to the rupee here in the state, especially in budget documents, it will be led by a Tamil letter, in this case Ru, as opposed to the existing rupee symbol. Now remember, it's also rather ironic because the rupee symbol back in 2010 was designed by D. Uday Kumar, who hails from Tamil Nadu. So many point out that, you know, the change in the rupee symbol is rather ironic on that front, but for whatever it's worth in Tamil Nadu, at least as far as the budget is concerned, it's the Ru symbol and not the existing rupee symbol that will be used in reference to the budget itself.
All right, so a change in symbol there in Tamil Nadu. Many thanks, Jude, for joining us. A quick check of the international headlines this evening. Vladimir Putin visited Russia's Kursk region, which is being occupied by Ukraine. Putin has said that Russian operation to eject Ukrainian forces from Kursk has entered its final stage. This comes as the Kremlin considers the U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire, which Kiev has agreed to. President Trump has said that the American negotiators are heading to Russia for talks. Trump went on to say that any ceasefire deal is now in Moscow's hand. Israel's total blockade of the Gaza Strip has entered day 12. There is no food, fuel or medicine that's being allowed inside the enclave. Negotiations between Israel and Hamas are ongoing in Doha. Reports have said that the U.S. proposal of a 60-day ceasefire extension and the release of 10 living Israeli captives are currently on the table. Canada said it will impose 25% tariffs on U.S. goods worth more than $20 billion. This is in retaliation to the Trump administration's steel and aluminum duties that came into effect earlier this week. The new tariffs will cover steel and aluminum as well as other goods, including computers and sport equipment. Foreign ministers of the G7 nations meet in Canada after weeks of rising tensions between the U.S. allies and President Donald Trump. The two-day meeting will likely focus on Trump's tariff threats and ceasefire deal between Ukraine and Russia. Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, who is visiting who's hosting the meeting, said that Canada welcomes the US proposal to halt the fighting in Ukraine. She added that a ceasefire is the first step forward to a just and lasting peace. Pakistan's two-day hijack ordeal ending after its army freed passengers on the Jafar Express. The train, which was en route to Quetta from Peshawar on Tuesday, was hijacked by militants belonging to the separatist Baluchistan Liberation Army. It was passing through the Bolan Pass area. After being stuck in space for 9 months, NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore will have to wait more to return home. SpaceX has postponed the launch of its Crew 10 mission to the International Space Station due to a technical issue. The rocket was to carry 4 astronauts who would have replaced the current crew. NASA is now targeting a launch for Friday. Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here on CNBC-TV18. But for now, from all of us here on the team, goodbye. Thanks for watching.